Hi, I'm Robin Schultz with the Hoover Channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you'll always know when we have a new video coming up.
Of bills, go over some minutes. First up is Resolution 8815-26, authorizing the mayor to execute documents related to the appointment of a successor trustee for the Edgar Gaines Aldridge Charitable Remainder Trust and requesting the resignation of the current trustee. Ms. Harris.
So basically, like you just said, it just changes the trustee for the trust account.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the council on this issue?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is there going to be a cost difference between Regions and Raymond James?
No, not that I know of.
So no, not that you're aware of, or
No, nothing
there
I'm
will not
aware
be?
of.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to Resolution 8816-26, approving an alcohol license for J&B VH LLC doing business as Vaughn's, located on 3601 Market Street.
This is a new license, and there are no, nothing with the planning and zoning and police department, no issues.
Very good. And the next resolution deals with the same. One is for retail beer, and the other is for retail table wine. So that would be Resolution 8817-26, also at Vaughn's. Any questions about those two items? Seeing none, we'll move on. Resolution 8819-26, reappointing a member to the Hoover Arts Council of the City of Hoover. Ms. Harris.
This reappoints Tracy True Dismukes for another 6-year term.
Very good. Any comments or questions regarding this resolution? Seeing none, we'll move on to Resolution 8820-26, authorizing the mayor, city council president, city clerk, and city treasurer to execute documents to implement updates as needed on accounts as designated on Resolution 8754-26. Ms. Harris.
Okay, this just, like you said, this authorizes them to, under the resolution, to handle such items on this account, required banking items.
Very good. Any comments or questions for number 7?
I have a question. Does it require just one person to make a modification, or will it require more than one person to make a modification?
I'm not sure. I have to check with Wendy on that, but I would think it would require all, not just one.
Okay, so we don't have an answer. Can we have an answer by Monday on
Yes.
that? Okay.
Very good. Moving on to number 8, Resolution 8821-26, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement of contract extension with Pritchard Industries for event cleaning services. Mr. Connor.
Yes, sir. Evening, council. This would extend our cleaning contract with Pritchard from April 28th through September 30th. No change in scope, no change in rates. The defined cleaning services are kind of relegated to the Met Complex, Randall House, Aldridge Gardens, and the Lake House.
Very well. Any comments or questions for Mr. Connor? Very good. Thank you, sir. Number 9, Resolution 8822-26, authorizing the mayor to execute a service agreement between the City of Hoover and the Miss Hoover Foundation. There were some documents here that were not complete, so we are going to kick this item to the May 11th agenda. Resolution number 8812-26, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for contract extension with Stone & Sons Electrical Contractors for traffic signal and roadway lighting services. Mr. Promer.
That's correct. Stone & Sons works on an on-call basis with our traffic team. As you said, providing street lighting and traffic signal services, also address pedestrian signals. They have an on-staff electrician who supplements our crew and when they're in need of an electrician, and they also do a lot of troubleshooting for our team. So been working with the group for about 5 years or so, and they're a great partner for our team.
Very good. Any comments or questions for Mr. Promer on this item?
Mr. President, is this an ongoing basis where they're on call, or?
Yes, sir. They're on call. So it was a 3-year contract that had one extension. This will be the second extension, I believe expires in January. So
So after this extension, it would go for,
They would have to renew, right? It'd have to
thank
be all fresh.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Resolution 88-2326, rescinding Resolution Number 6790-22 in accordance with a settlement agreement related to the River Chase Village drainage repair. Hi, Ms. Rosemary.
Hey, so this is just part of that agreement back in April of 2025. There's a settlement agreement with the parties at River Chase Village in the city. Out of that agreement, that is how we're making those drainage repairs at River Chase Village. One of the things that was done prior to the April 2025 settlement agreement is the city declared the River Chase Village property a nuisance because of the flooding, the drainage issues. So one of the items in this law, in the settlement, was that the city would rescind the declaration of nuisance. So this is basically just housekeeping and paperwork so that we're in accordance with the settlement. And that's it.
Very good. Can you give us an update on where that project,
Yes, sir. I'm so glad that you asked.
almost like I was queued up for it. Huh?
Yes. Everything. So, because I waited till today at lunch because we were just flying. So, we're excited. The first picture is a drone image, and you can see there's not a hole there anymore. It's getting really close to being done. So we're 90% complete, which is really exciting. We have a little bit there at Panda Express. They've graded where a drive-through used to be. So we've done 2 concrete pours today. Tomorrow, with weather permitting and scheduling, they're going to finish the concrete for the Panda Express driveway. They're going to be doing the asphalt for that Walgreens, that parking lot that is closest to 31, and also the asphalt that is adjacent to Panda Express. So that should be done tomorrow. And then the remaining things we have to do is the contractor took down 2 light poles out in 31 right-of-way just so he could get room to work. So those need to be installed, put back up by the electrical contractor. So basically, once the concrete and asphalt's done tomorrow, there'll be some landscaping. There's going to be minor grading, sod, and the irrigation at Panda Express. But our final cost is looking like it's going to be just under $2.5 million. We are going to come back to council with a change order because there were a few things that needed to be adjusted in the field. We'll come back, but we're under that $2.5 million mark. And we'll have more details on that in the very near future. And so the contractor had until the end of June to finish it. And we're hopeful he'll be done next week. It may not be quote unquote substantial, but it's going to be stable with landscape and paving out there. So we're excited. We're ahead of schedule.
Very good. What was the budgeted amount for this project?
We have a $4.5 million, so we're under budget. So yeah,
That's great.
we're excited. All right, thank y'all.
I don't think you're done quite yet.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
Just something quick for you, and if you can have it, money is fine.
Okay.
Can I just get a GIS aerial shot of where the stormwater drain starts and ends?
Absolutely, I can do that.
And I'm assuming that's the second picture is the inlet where it ties into right by 31?
That's right. That's
cuts
exactly
to-
where it
and then
ties
cuts
to.
down. Okay, gotcha.
And then I can't believe it. I didn't ask you to turn the page over because I hit the microphone. You can see the concrete being done, and there's some removal of existing asphalt that's going to be repaired and replaced, hopefully tomorrow. But absolutely, I can get that aerial of showing where the storm drain goes.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, did you have anything to add?
yes, sir. Mr. Walter, is this the appropriate time, in your opinion, to remove the nuisance factor within the settlement, or should we wait until the project is over?
We need to wait until it's no longer a nuisance.
One thing to add, I'm sorry to interject, Mr. City Attorney. The agreement stated that within 30 days of the project being bid, we would get rid of the nuisance. I think there's some other items that are upon substantial completion we have to do. But of course, I'm going to defer to you because I'm no attorney.
When do you, in your opinion as the engineer, when will the nuisance be removed or abated?
It is removed now because the drainage
Okay.
is functioning like
misunderstood.
it was designed to. Yes, sir.
It'd be appropriate to do it now then.
So in your opinion, we're good to move forward, or should we wait?
I think we should. There's no reason not to. I can
There's-
see.
It's
If she's saying, if the engineer has determined that it's no longer a nuisance and we were going to do it within 30 days and that's been accomplished, I misunderstood. I thought that it
worries.
did not, this was to go forward on removing the nuisance, but that's been accomplished now.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So we
I'd say
can
do that now. Yes,
continue with this resolution Monday night.
sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Resolution 88-2426, authorizing the mayor to apply for a 2026 Safe Streets and Roads for All grant through the United States Department of Transportation and committing matching funds. Mr. Furman.
Yes, so this is a parlay on a study that was initiated April 17th, 2025, which was also an 80-20 match. The total of that study was right at $75,000, and we just matched 20% of that. But we did an Apple study in conjunction with Sane for Lorna Road. It goes just from Chapel Hill Road to 31. So this was also working with the Regional Planning Commission in Greater Birmingham. So the reason for this study was to address pedestrian safety concerns, improve accessibility, and inform decision-making on what needs to be done along this section of the roadway. So goals include enhancing pedestrian crossings, improving sidewalk connectivity, increasing visibility through lighting, and roadway geometry and traffic flow. So what the team Sane did through their study was they conducted field observations, and analyzed crash data. They looked at high conflict areas with pedestrians and vehicles, and then looked at the lighting through that corridor. So recommendations that came out of that study include corridor widening upgrades, new pedestrian infrastructure that includes signals, push buttons, and crosswalks, geometric improvements, raised concrete islands and medians to better control traffic flow, mid-block pedestrian crossings, driveway modifications, closures, and sidewalk expansions. So that's all within a study that I can make available to you guys in my office for the full study, but I did prepare cliff notes that I'll leave with you. So the study's in hand, and now it's time to parlay that. So we've checked a good box there. We also, through the comprehensive plan that the city's done and project prioritization, is going to check a few more boxes through this grant app. So the funding opportunity is Safe Streets for All with US DOT. Once again, it's an 80-20 match. So through the study, the implementation cost estimate was right at $5.1 million. So through this grant, we're getting an 80-20 match. So we're basically seeking approval for pursuing this grant application. It would hit the budget cycle in 2027. So right now, we're just getting permission to pursue the grant.
Very good. Comments or questions from council on this?
Hey, Scott, I know this is a study. Did they come up in that study with just a proposed rendering of what that would look like?
They have a detailed analysis as you go block by block and recommended
What about,
improvements.
do they got an overview, or is this too lengthy to kind of consolidate it on one area?
They have different areas, whether they're addressing traffic or pedestrian, they have the map highlighted with the areas
okay.
of concern. Is a very good document with a lot of attachments to it.
You gonna give us that?
Well, I'll have it available. Reason being, there is some sensitive information in
I
there.
got you, yeah.
But I do have a cliff notes kind of giving brief synopsis of it for you guys. Yeah. But yes, please, I encourage you to come down and go through it because it's fascinating. To go through.
Any other comments or questions? Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Froman.
Thanks, Scott.
We'll move on to resolution number 882626, authorizing the city clerk and the chief financial officer, city treasurer, to execute documents related to the implementation of Wells Fargo Positive Pay. Dr. Lopez.
Good evening. I think this is just a matter of, we found out that the payroll account, we're adding basically positive pay to the account, and it requires various signatures. So this is all that's related to. It's to help with fraud.
Any comments or questions for Dr. Lopez?
I have one question. Is there a cost associated with this? Or is it
With
just?
the positive pay,
Yeah.
there is a cost. It's very nominal for what you're going to get protected from. I'm talking probably less than $100 a month, if that.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Lopez, is this for payroll?
Yes. Yes.
No cost to the employee?
Oh, no, not to the employee.
Okay.
No.
And what does positive pay do?
Positive pay, what it does, we have it on our main big bank account for like all of our accounts payable already with Regions. And basically what it does, we send a file to the bank after we prepare all of our checks. And it says, when they get a check for, someone says, okay, I want to cash this, it's going to match against our file to make sure certain things match. If they don't, it kicks it out and will not actually cash that check. And then actually in the last 2 months, we've had probably 5 to 10 attempts on our Regions account that got squelched, so.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. You're up for the next one as well, Dr. Lopez. Resolution number 882726, authorizing budget amendments, appropriations, a position title change, project fund transfers, and related actions for fiscal year 2026.
Okay, so the Exhibit A, if you have that in front of you, that has these few items on it. I'll just go through those. The first item is basically an in and out, and it's related to the Brock's Gap development agreement where there was a clause in there that the legal fees up to $20,000 would be reimbursed. We received that money from the developer, and this will be budgeting that $20,000 and then budgeting the expense to pay the city attorney for those fees. The second item is related to a position title change in my department. We recently had someone leave, someone that we're putting under our budget manager. And this has just involved changing a title. It doesn't involve any funds that we think will attract people more oriented to what they're going to be doing. So instead of just accountant, it's going to be a management budget analyst, which I think is my first title when I started finance 20 years ago. So that involves no money. The third item on there is just budgeting the $200,000 contribution related to the SEC from the Greater Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau. That's just an in and out, so we got the money, and then it's allowing them to spend the money. The fourth item is related to some fire software and just switching that around. I think they're changing the type of software they're going to use, so that's no additional money. Item 5, this is related to a matching grant regarding the Lock Haven Park. Engineering has identified $200,000 worth of projects that are now complete. They have balances of $200,000 that we're going to use as the matching part of this grant. So that's kind of an in and out. And the sixth item is just a true-up item that we noticed in the budget for, it's an ALDOT reimbursable fund, and there should have been an additional amount of revenue budgeted because that fund always is 100% revenue and expense offsets. And this is just truing up that area.
Very good. Any comments or questions for Dr. Lopez? Okay. Moving on to resolution number 882826, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement of contract extension with Boundtree Medical for medical supplies for fire department EMS.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. This is an agreement with Boundtree Medical for our EMS medical supplies. excluding medical oxygen, that you approved that just a few months ago. This is just a standard agreement. We've been using Boundtree for many years and happy with their services.
Very good. Any comments or questions for Chief Bentley?
Thank you.
Moving on to Resolution 883026, authorizing the mayor to execute a renewal enterprise license agreement with ESRI for the city's geographic information system software. Mr.
Council, Mr. President. This is every 3 years, our GIS software platform comes up for renewal. We qualify for a small ELA since we're less than 100,000 people. This is our entire GIS platform for all of our mapping data across the city. This renewal, we're going to see about a $3,000 increase, which is about a 5.8% increase, if I remember correctly, from 3 years ago.
Very good. Comments or questions? All right, moving on to the next item is Resolution number 883126, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Charter Communications Spectrum for internet services for Fire Station 1.
Yeah, so this is the new Fire Station 1. All of the other fire stations, we've moved away from charter TV services because of price changes that we no longer get reimbursed for from FCC changes in law. We now provide internet there, and this allows the officers to have access to internet without being on the city network, not officers, but the firemen. From there, they can also do their streaming TV services as well, too, and it can be used for other equipment and stuff there as well.
Okay. Comments or questions for this item?
I have a question. On the agreement with Charter, it shows, over Spectrum, it shows a $25 Wi-Fi, business Wi-Fi. What is that?
That'll actually be removed from the contract on that one. We'll actually run the internet through a checkpoint firewall there. It'll actually hit our existing APs that we use for the city Wi-Fi, so that charge will actually come off. It won't be on there.
Okay, good. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Resolution 881826, reappointing a member to the Hoover Board of Education for a term of 5 years. Ms. Harris.
This reappoints Alan Paquette to the Hoover Board of Education for a 5-year term, beginning their regular scheduled meeting in June 2026.
Comments or questions regarding this item? Seeing none. Resolution number 882526, authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with TSW Design for a multi-phase branding and entry signage design project. Mr. Munger.
So you have in your packet a copy of the proposal from TSW Design. As you stated, this is centered around redesign of the city's entry signage package, which right now we have a variety of throughout the city. TSW has performed rebranding projects in a number of communities throughout the Southeast and specializes in wayfinding, entry sign development with public involvement as part of that component process. This would bring us to a point where we basically have a visual depiction and locations of these signs to present to council for concurrence and a rough estimation of cost that will allow us to budget for these in future capital cycles.
Very good. Comments or questions for this item? Does this also include logos and other items, or just signage?
So the exercise is centered around signage, but overall branding is a consideration of the project because branding is going to drive the ultimate sign design. Those would be something that we present back to the council.
We say sign, we're talking about logo as well, too.
So the logo, they will take into account all of the city's current and former branding and incorporate that
So
in
anything
their
around that.
recommendation. But it is possible that they may recommend options for the council to consider.
Mr. President, how many entryways into the city will this cover?
So the number of entryways, and this again is not a construction exercise, this is only about design. I do think because of right-of-way provisions and distance, site distance, that we will need multiple sign designs to kind of meet our needs in different areas. But the main focus will be on the highest volume access points to the city, and then a couple of the ancillary ones. So we're going to look at initially 6 primary gateway signs and then 8 secondary sign locations. That's a rough estimation based on our count, but with the design, we're basically going to have a high and low volume sign package, and you'd be able to deploy those further as funds allowed.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Munger, the amount listed in the contract covers what right now? It does not, based on what I'm understanding, it doesn't actually cover the signs, it just covers the study of how much it would cost?
No, so all the activities are outlined in items 1 through 3. Basically, this is a professional services contract. It covers your public outreach, it covers your initial design consideration, basically graphic design, concept development, and plan development up to the point where we would be able to turn this into something that's bid ready. So there is no actual signage associated with this. This is basically development of the project that would eventually be a capital consideration, because it would be a significant expense for the full rollout of this. And I do anticipate that that will be a multi-phase project, which is why we kind of have the hierarchy of the primary entryways to the city and then the secondary access points.
Yeah, one more question.
So this is just to get it started?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Murphy?
Yeah, last question, Mr. President. Question, so do you have just a template of, I guess, the intersection, the areas that they plan on taking a look at? If they do, can we get
It's not included in your packet. I do have a
yeah, if you
I
could
do
go.
have a starting point, but
Yeah.
ultimately that's something that they are going to work with us on about. As you know, right-of-way varies greatly throughout
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
But I do have a list of those
Yeah.
that I can send to you. Or
Yeah,
have
if you
them
can, and look, you send it, I understand tentative.
Yes.
So I'm not holding you to it, but it'll be great to have that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, do we have a rough idea of how much one of those Dunwoody signs would cost, by any chance?
I do not, right offhand. I know they have a variety of different signage packages. A lot of them are on outdoor right-of-way, a lot of them are illuminated. There's a lot of different considerations, but a rough estimation of a monument-style entry sign would be in the order of magnitude of around $100,000 a piece. I think is a good kind of placeholder for a large one, depending on if you have to acquire property, bring up energy to it, possibly irrigate it if it has different landscaping, but the complexity of the design will drive a lot of that.
And then one other question is, if we get the logo design work and all of that, is that then, are we committed to using this company to use the design work that they've basically proposed for us for $30K?
So we would own the design. There would not be a perpetual mandate to work through them for those things. I mean, we could certainly use or disconnect with them in the future if it was desired, but they are not a construction design firm. They are a planning and design firm. So this is something that they generally help you settle on concepts, locations, and then sort of hand it off for implementation to the local level.
I think the important thing is here is that this project would move or facilitate it in the correct manner. That does public input, council input, mayor's office input. City branding is certainly important to the city moving forward, and we would hope that this would last for, the first logo, I don't know how long it was, but it was pretty old, the Cahaba River H, for a long time. So unfortunately, many of us felt like the last branding didn't go as planned or was well crafted. So hopefully this time around it will stick. Any other questions or comments? Very good. We will move on to resolution number 882926, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Central Alabama Water for the installation of fire hydrants within the Everly development.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. This is standard agreement for the installation of 5 fire hydrants in the approved Everly community that has been approved. Standard contract for public hydrants. The developer installs the hydrants, pays for rental for the first 3 years, and then the city assumes those as public hydrants and rents those hydrants after those 3 years.
Very good.
everything's
Comments or
standard.
questions? Thank you. All right, ordinance number 2692, to modify chapter 11.5 Parks and Recreation thereto, and to repeal all ordinances and parts of the ordinance of the city of Hoover in conflict therewith. Any changes from the first rendering, Ms. Cobal? Any comments or questions from the council?
I have one question.
You gotta come down after all,
I'm sorry.
please. Ms. Schultz?
Who all took part in modifying the rules?
We had a team of different people from departments such as Park and Rec, Park Maintenance, Police, and Fire.
So park rangers were involved as well? right?
Absolutely.
And one of the park rangers, I believe his last name is Hallmark, is that right?
CJ?
Is it possible, he told me that he worked extensively on this. Is it possible for them to be here on Monday to be recognized for the work they did?
Sure, we can ask them.
Do they want to be?
I don't know if they want to be, okay.
Yeah, I think
But-
he would
but
be
I-
fine to come.
They should be recognized for what they did. Apparently, they did a lot of work on this, and it would be nice to recognize them as well.
Well, they're the ones enforcing them if something's going wrong, so,
Okay.
sure.
If they're here, we'll recognize them. If they want to stay home,
Yeah,
Well, they won't be at home, they'll be working, but yes, sure.
thank you.
Mr. President, Aaron, all the ballparks, did they participate any or,
It was strictly internal staff.
okay, have they been advised what's coming from the first reading?
I don't know for sure, but we can.
I would think that maybe they would want to know what's coming, to have an opportunity to show up Monday night if they're in disagreement with any of the rule
Sure.
changes. Thank you.
all right, the next few will be first readings. Ordinance 2695, an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance of the city of Hoover, Alabama pertaining to the sale of consumable hemp products. Before you begin, Mr. Back, Ms. Harris, can you mute Counselor Smith's microphone for me, please? Go ahead, Matt.
Mr. Schultz came up to me beforehand and said he had a few softball questions for me. So, not on this one. All right. So, consumable hemp. This is something that we've been working on for quite some time. We began earlier in 2025 trying to craft an ordinance to address these products in our community. I think we've presented to this body before concerning some of the concerns that we had about these products. We had a team assembled, planning and zoning, as well as economic development, and our police department with concerns about location of these kinds of operations and the products themselves. We were starting to see stores popping up in the metro area that were selling products that really, at first glance, were being marketed as other products with only subtle differences. And so it was easy to see how, especially youths, could get their hands on these products and mistake them for others. So there was a growing momentum to address this issue through our business licensing as well as our zoning ordinance. And then the state legislature stepped in last summer, the end of their last legislative session, and adopted some basic ground rules for these products and who could sell them. So they really did a lot of the heavy lifting for us and allowed us to adjust based on what the state law is today. So in essence, the state is requiring that any and all entities, businesses that are selling consumable hemp products be licensed through the ABC, and there are certain requirements in order for them to obtain their ABC license. And so by and large, what we are proposing, and again, I'm presenting the zoning piece. It was our legal team's opinion that we should bifurcate the zoning piece into an ordinance, and then we have a separate ordinance that we address the licensing piece. But the two will work together. So the zoning, we're dealing with the location of where consumable hemp stores can locate and where consumable hemp products can be sold. And since the state helped us with, in essence, treating them in many ways like liquor stores, and they're having to get licensing through the ABC board just like liquor stores do, it gave us a degree of confidence to address them like liquor stores within our zoning ordinance. So as far as placement is concerned, we are looking at the C2 and C3 base commercial districts, as well as the PC and PI, planned commercial and planned industrial districts in our planned unit developments across town. These particular stores, consumable hemp stores, being considered with conditional use approval only. So they would have to come before the Planning Commission and this body before they were able to obtain conditional use and proceed on with licensing. Now, as far as the rules are concerned, placement within those districts, they would abide by the same buffering requirements as liquor stores. So that includes being limited to locations that are outside of a 1,000-foot radius from places of worship, single-family residential neighborhoods, schools, public parks, public spaces, spaces where children gather and play, and the like. So in addition to that, there's also a buffer requirement between individual consumable hemp stores and liquor stores. So in other words, you would not be able to locate a consumable hemp store next to a liquor store. You would have to have that 1,000-foot buffer. So just to give you in your mind's eye an idea of how many potential locations we could have in the city, we're roughly looking at 3 general areas where we could have locations that meet those buffer requirements. One in the vicinity of the exit 150, 459 interchange, one Valleydale Road near the interchange with 65, and then I wouldn't rule out all of the 280 corridor having a location that would qualify. So those are in general terms the 3 areas of town that we find would be eligible for that kind of operation. Now, I will note that we do in the zoning ordinance have a grandfathering section. I know we have established businesses in the community that were selling as their primary principal use consumable hemp products before the state law went into effect. And if they are able to obtain their ABC license, if they can prove that they've been in continuous operation, and if they can prove that they're abiding by all of the rules that the state has put into place, this ordinance does allow for those to be grandfathered in and to continue operation until there is a transfer of ownership of the property, the business closes down, the business changes uses, and so forth. I will also note that those that are grandfathered according to this ordinance would not be able to expand in their current location. They are held, if you will, in a time capsule, the size and scope of their operation as it is on the day the ordinance is adopted. So I know this is a big undertaking, and if you guys have any questions that come up over the next couple of weeks as we prepare for second reading, be glad to try to address those.
Comments or questions for Mr. Martin?
To be clear then, the state has made it that if you're a liquor store, you cannot sell this product as well. Is that correct?
If you are a liquor store, you can.
You can.
Sell these products. You just cannot have, under our zoning ordinance, the way it's written, you cannot have a consumable hemp store locate adjacent to a liquor store.
But if it was inside, if I already have a liquor store, I could add this product to the inventory. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. You can get your
hours.
ABC.
And under hours as well.
Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, why is 280 corridor the consumable hemp corridor, it seems like, compared to the others?
Well, I just said I would not rule out there being a location along 280. 280 is a very large highway-oriented commercial district. There are a lot of segments where single-family residential neighborhoods are 1,000 feet away from the frontage. There are some places of worship, some institutional facilities that would require the distance buffer in place, but it's just a very large corridor with very spread out uses. And some of the areas that we would be buffering, like neighborhoods and the like, there's a lot of distance between those. So I wouldn't rule out that there is a location or two on 280. That's by no means suggesting that you're going to end up with a line of these.
I feel like that might be the public's next question, hearing 280 corridor specifically.
Again,
that's concerning.
Yeah, if you have for instance, I know we have a liquor store operating at Inverness Corners, that vicinity. So we would be looking at 1,000 feet from that establishment. We do have some single-family neighborhoods adjacent to the commercial corridor, so there's a 1,000-foot buffer away from those as well. But I couldn't rule out that there would be a space on 280 for an operator to go.
Mr. Martin, do you know off the top of your head how many liquor stores we currently have?
Ooh, that's a good question. Right off the top of my head, I couldn't give you an exact count.
Is that a query that we can run?
Sure.
Very good. You said this is one part, so this is the zoning part. Next would come the licensing ordinance.
Yes, sir. I believe the first reading for that is a little later in the agenda.
Okay, so we're taking both of those. Mr. Walter, what's preventing the city, if the council so decided, is it required of the city to take this on, to zone and license this sellable product, or could the city, if so chosen, have a moratorium in perpetuity?
We've had a moratorium, and the moratorium is up. This is an area that has been preempted by the state. And I think it's very much like, and Johnny, you can chime in if you got a different thought, but I think it's very much like the physical therapy. The state has a physical therapy board, and you can get a license for physical therapy. Well, many municipalities don't like the fact that a physical therapist could be mistaken for a massage parlor. But if they've got a physical therapy license through the licensure board, then they can have that business. It's a legitimate business. It's very similar to that. The state is, as Mackie says, that they've given us some guidance, I suppose, but they've actually preempted this and said you can sell these products under these instances here. So could you extend a moratorium? I suppose you could. If somebody challenges it, I think you got the short end of the stick. Johnny, you got a different thought?
I agree with that. And I don't know, Mac, if that's on my understanding is the second component from this was going to come at the next meeting, and that would be the licensing part. It's going to obviously consider the state law that was passed, but we wanted to get the zoning component in first, and then we'll follow up with the licensing part which we can go into some more detail when that's presented to the council.
Very good.
And
I can just
maybe-
see where some people would ask us, well, why are we even allowing this in the
Sure.
first place?
Legitimate question. But they need to talk to their state legislators.
Mr. Smith, do you have
Since
something?
we've cracked that door, Mr. Waldup, if you remember when Mr. Ivy was president of the council, we had a establishment that opened down the road on Highway 31 that they claimed that they were a medical facility. They weren't. I don't think they are.
That's the one that, I was not the city attorney, but I'm
Well,
familiar with
you
what
were
you're talking
around.
about. That's one
You
that
were
was
around.
litigated.
And I'm sure you talked to Gary quite a bit.
I know.
The city had those same restrictions with 1,000 feet from residential and schools and churches and things like that, and we lost in court.
Sure did.
What would keep us from losing in court with these rules as well?
I'd have to go back and look at that case. We're talking about something that was about 15 or 16 years ago.
Oh, it's longer than that.
It might have been longer than that, but I recall the case, and very, very much like the physical therapist once they gets licensed. I mean, that's an area that's been preempted. I don't think that case turned on the fact that it was 1,000 feet from a church or residential neighborhood. I think it turned on the way that the ordinance was actually written, the prohibited items that were sold, which were items that, going from memory, were items that the court determined were matters that were legal in interstate commerce, and the city was attempting to stop the sale of those items.
And Mr. Smith, that's some of the reasoning behind our twofold aspect of this, so that the city has some control over the zoning aspect. So number one, where those businesses are allowed, and then number two, licensing, which will, I wouldn't say mirrors 100%, but it's compliant with the state law with regard to the sale of the products and the licensing requirements. But municipalities generally have pretty broad control of the zoning aspect of it, so that gives the city an additional control over not only what products are sold, but where they're sold.
And
Is that fair to say, Mac?
Yes, sir, and I believe Mr. Brunson's correct. I misread item number 27. I do not believe that is the licensing piece, so.
No.
Okay, so next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. So,
How long
in
before?
effect then, the moratorium will remain in effect until, or a consumer will
I
help.
think it expires in May, so the ordinance cannot become effective until the moratorium expires.
Gotcha, okay. Very good.
And how long before the second part, having to do with licensing, how long before that would come? before the
That won't take, you can pass it whenever you choose, but it won't take effect until the moratorium is over.
I understand.
We
But that
anticipate on
expires
that.
by its terms sometime in May.
Sorry, Charlie.
That also predates our service.
And we anticipate having that for a first reading at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Smith, for your edification, just as an aside, the state, for the same business, the same sort of products that the city litigated and lost, the state legislature did try to preempt that area and prohibit the sale of those anywhere. And I don't know if he's related to you, but his name is Judge Smith. Linwood Smith was the federal judge that killed that. So
I may
that's
have
where we
some
are.
old emails I can forward to you.
We will move on to ordinance number 262696 to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Hoover pertaining to conditional use applications.
Okay, so this particular amendment proposal was born out of a conversation I had with a couple of council members related to conditional use cases. The question was raised, if we have a conditional use application that can generally be considered a slam dunk, there's no opposition to it, is there a need for that process to drag out a month with the Planning Commission and then another month with the City Council while you have a business that's trying to get their permitting in order and get up and running? So just taking a crack at it, this particular amendment in short would allow for the approval of the Planning Commission to be the terminal step if there is no opposition voiced to our department or voiced at the public hearing of the Planning Commission. And if we have a case where no party is in opposition to that particular application, it would shave a month off of the process. And so I outlined that, as well as instances where if the Planning Commission were to not grant the conditional use, were not to recommend favorably, the City Council comes in as the terminal step. The applicant can appeal the Planning Commission's decision to the City Council. If we have anyone speak in opposition, either to our office before the Planning Commission or at the Planning Commission meeting, that item would automatically continue on to this body. Or if the Planning Commission approves an application and there may not be any opposition to it, but the Planning Commission places a condition or conditions on approval that aggrieve the applicant has the ability to continue on and bring that to the City Council. So again, it was this was born out of a conversation or a couple of conversations related to the time frame, some complaints that we received from applicants having to wait that additional month when there did not appear to be any opposition. And so we tried to forge a way to shorten that time frame. So this was just our attempt to do that.
Very good. Comments, questions?
Mr. Martin, a few questions. The first is, would it be fair to say that Planning and Zoning Commission meetings are not as well attended as council meetings are by the public?
Well, depends. I would say that there is less general attendance to the meetings, but as far as responding to notification that goes out, the notification that we have for the Planning Commission and the City Council levels are the same for conditional uses.
So if somebody were to have not objected to an item, but then they see it reported that this item was on there, they didn't receive a notification for whatever reason, what time frame would this particular ordinance put in place where somebody could object to it, or would it be immediate?
It would be immediate according to this ordinance.
Okay, and so is there a way to let us know ahead of time the conditional use items that are going to be on there? Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Okay. How far ahead of time?
We can inform the council when we have the agenda together for Planning Commission.
It says here in section B, a minimum of 14 days prior to the Planning Commission meeting at which the conditional use request is to be considered, the Planning and Zoning Department shall mail notification to all owners of property within 500 feet of the subject site. Notice shall also be provided to City Council members.
Yep.
So within 14 days, you have a 2-week period.
And all we would have to do is say we would object to it, and then automatically it goes to the council. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
You said notice to your office. So if the city clerk were to receive a letter of opposition, would that count
It
without
would.
that person having to be physically present.
We would accept that.
Very good.
One other question. How many other cities in the state do you know use this type of method?
There are a number of municipalities, believe it or not, that structure their conditional use applications to where the planning commission is the terminal step regardless. In fact, my previous place of employment in Athens, that was the way the city council set up conditional uses in that jurisdiction. We were challenged on that. Our ordinance was a model ordinance that one of our prominent consultants in the state helped develop. So it wasn't just our community, there were communities all across the state that adopted that model. And when challenged on it, the court actually threw the case out, citing that you would have so much disruption in the way cities are currently handling that process. It is the city council's prerogative, if they want to delegate the conditional use authority to their planning commission, that's well within their right to do so. If they want to retain that particular ability, it's their right to do so. So there are a number of communities that operate in that manner. I just, as a practitioner for the city of Hoover, I didn't think that was wise to disrupt the tradition that we have to that degree, to where I'm proposing the planning commission be the terminal step. And I had concerns even in my previous position about the appeals route. If there were aggrieved parties, there was not a way for them to appeal to the city council. That was a concern of mine. So we try to split the baby, so to speak, with this particular route, offering opportunities for the application to come to you guys either for appeal or if there is opposition. So it's a bit of a hybrid.
Mr. Waldrop. I have a question here. So the statement that I read previously, a minimum of 14 days prior, that they will mail notification to all owners of property. And then a sentence, notice shall be provided to city council members. It doesn't state how that notice will be provided. Do we?
It doesn't, but I would assume that that would be done by email. And having a discussion with Mac about it, but that would be.
I would assume that as well, but.
That could be spelled out if you wanted to say it's going to be by email and U.S. mail.
I think we need to stipulate email.
Sure, we can make that change.
I don't want future councils to say, well, we lost it in the mail.
I know we're in a position to administer it that way if the council so chooses.
I've got a question. That Athens challenge, did they challenge the council's authority to delegate, or did they challenge the decision?
It was the ability of the council to delegate that authority. They were aggrieved, the party, by a decision that our planning commission made, and so they attacked it from that angle.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I understood.
So in researching this, it does say that state law authorizes the city council to delegate it to planning and zoning. And in researching it, I asked what cities do it. The only one that came up was Athens, but there may be more. And ironically, the two cities that came up that said they don't do it is Irondale and Hoover, that do it the way we're doing it right now. Mm-hmm. So you're doing this strictly or you're requesting this strictly out of a matter of expediting the process. Is that right?
There were concerns raised by applicants of the conditional use process, as well as in conversation with council members, just questioning, is there a better way? So this is an attempt at a hybrid.
Further comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. President, I want to clarify. You want the draft to say that the notice to the city council will be by email to your city council domain and by U.S. mail to your home address?
I don't think we need US mail.
Okay, so it's just going to be by email to your city council domain only?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
We can make that change for Monday night to keep
Not
the
a
first
problem.
reading, right? Any other comments or questions?
Mr. President, I just as an overall thought process of just checks and balances, I mean, we have two bodies reviewing right now, a body that's appointed and a body that is elected. And, just talking out loud, when I think about this, there are different factors that are at play in both of those decisions. And I believe that, checks and balances are not always a bad thing when it comes to government and expediting things. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
I agree with you. So my take on this is that I commend Mr. Martin for bringing this forward to cut the bureaucratic tape that I think many of us, that the bureaucracy of government frustrates all of us. So if we can cut the red tape for business owners, where like he's saying, it's a slam dunk process, to give them extra months to get started, I think that's a good thing. One single person objects, including any of the council members, it comes before. So we still have those checks and balances if any of us so desired.
But we're not going to know about it until after planning and zoning is through with it.
No, sir, we'll get 14 days notice.
Okay.
Here, before the planning and zoning is hearing the case.
On any one item for
On any,
conditional use.
on any conditional use,
Okay.
we will get a 14-day notice beforehand.
And during that 14 days, are we expected to respond?
If you want it to come before council,
Okay.
you're expected to respond.
Okay, I was just wondering what, after notification, how is our responsibility built into that? Do we wait for a council meeting, or are we supposed to do something prior to that?
He just said notice to his office, so
Okay.
you can just email the planning and zoning office, city clerk, and that request will count as a opposition.
All the way up to and including, if you want to make an appearance at the planning commission meeting and speak, that's an opportunity as well.
Thanks, sir.
Just one quick thing, Mr. President. Maggie, your experience with Hoover, things that come before the planning and zoning, how many of them are really percentage-wise are confrontational or from a conflict standpoint? 80-20, what do you think?
I would say 20 to 25%.
20. So, is it best to have instead of waiting for 14 days, since 75% just go through with no challenge, if anyone makes a claim or concern, that it automatically gets raised through the regular process?
Well, yeah, if there's a concern that's voiced, to the extent that any resident feels like it needs some additional oversight and would object to the planning commission being the terminal step,
Yeah.
we would accelerate it to this group.
Yeah, because if it gets to that point, then 9 times out of 10, we start getting emails, we're going to automatically see it. So if they, on record, say they would like to make a amendment or a claim up to us, then it is naturally goes here, especially if it's 25 versus 75%. So most things will go through smooth, no problem. We will see those things anyway.
That's right, those 20, 25%.
Should we just allow that as the,
If that's what he's saying, any opposition
so
at council meeting, email prior to, at the planning and zoning meeting, or emails prior.
I'm just trying to make sure it's not dependent on our need that we want to hear it.
Oh, no, it's.
Okay.
It's,
So it's automatic, we were saying it's automatic if it's opposition, it comes here, regardless if we don't want to.
If there's any opposition, it comes to this body.
I understand. Okay.
And then, Mr. President, I have another question. So the 500-foot mailer, essentially, so let's take Tattersall for an example. You have Tattersall Park. Does that 500 feet apply? Because how would that be engaging the community?
The 500 feet
Is it
applies.
local businesses nearby, or is it residential? Because it's going to be more than 500 feet to do residential. And I think in that situation, it would be pivotal. You know, I think the worst thing that could happen is somebody 500 feet away gets something and then a whole neighborhood's missed.
The 500 feet is measured from the perimeter of the property in question. So let's just say we have something that's looking to come to the 31-acre parcel that is undeveloped. Every property owner within 500 feet of the periphery or perimeter of that site would be notified. So businesses, residences, whoever.
So I don't think that that neighborhood would be, 500 feet wouldn't cut it for that situation.
I'd have to
What do you
double check. I know the city owns a strip of land between that tract and Berwick. But if memory serves, we were sending notices to some of the residences in Berwick, that sector of Greystone, when we were dealing with the zoning case not too terribly long ago.
Yeah, I never received, but I mean, I don't live near Berwick, so.
Yeah, it would just be the property owners within 500 feet.
I could tell you this to Ashley's, Councilwoman Lovell's point. When we had that challenge with a particular entity on 280, one other step that was done is to work to try to put notices on those neighborhood pages as well too, of those particular areas, because a foot off can determine if it's going to be one person at the meeting versus 300 or 400 people in objection. So I know Wendy worked to make that happen, so maybe we put some other controls in place to try to put those, especially get to know, I think we have a list of the neighborhood associations and the presidents. That's an easy fix if we have something close by there. So maybe we put some controls in place for that as well too.
Perhaps, I do know that just in dealing with neighborhoods and the associations, those do tend to have some over time, changes in management and.
Yeah, but I'm just finding the solution focus, just trying to, because I hate for something to come here and then all of a sudden, we get caught, you know. So any way to be transparent, we just try to do the best we can.
I think the goal is to make sure the public is aware and that we're being transparent. This is not an ordinance to try to slip anything under the rug. This is an ordinance to be more business friendly and to get people making money faster in the city.
Because under the current ordinance that we have and operate, we're sending the same notice out. We're sending it to 500 feet, all property owners within 500 feet of the subject site. We're just doing it twice now. We're sending a mailer 14 days in advance of the Planning Commission meeting, and we're doing the same thing prior to the City Council public hearing. But the scope of that notice is not changing.
This is one of the things that the mayor had in his campaign platforms, is trying to reduce the red tape and starting to do business in the city.
That's right.
And I think this would assist in helping him with his promises.
And look, this body's gonna have to take some onus as well. So if you see something within that 14-day notice that gets emailed to you, share it, be transparent with your constituents. And if there's an issue, you bring it up to the office and it'll come to the council for approval or denial.
That's right.
Any other comments or questions regarding this item? Okay, Mr. Martin, moving on to ordinance number 2698 to rezone property located at 2333 Farley Place from R1 to RLSF.
Yes, sir. This particular zoning case covers a single-family residential property in the Bluff Park neighborhood. The desire of this property owner is to remodel the home on the site, including an unenclosed but covered front porch on the premises. We've actually had several cases like this here in fairly quick succession. And so they are asking for the Legacy Single Family Residential District to accommodate that front porch. The submittal, including the survey with the proposed porch addition, would meet the development criteria of that legacy district.
Very good. Any comments or questions regarding this item?
Planning Commission voted to recommend positively to this body.
We'll move on to resolution number 881326. This will be set for a public hearing, declaring a certain structure to be a public nuisance, providing for a public hearing, and directing the abatement thereof.
Yes, sir, we have a bad one. A tree fell through this house. It's located on Tyler Lane. We started receiving complaints about it, and we went and inspected the premises, found that the structural integrity of the building was undermined. Building department concurred this is an unsafe structure and is in need of abatement. Actually personally called the owner last summer. It's an absentee owner. He lives in Oregon. My understanding is he bought the property sight unseen and had the idea to renovate and remodel, and then the tree fell on it, and it's been in its current state for quite some time. I let him know that I was going to be in fiscal 2026 asking for a budget in my operational budget to remedy this, to abate this, to have this nuisance declared by the council and abated. And so it should come as no surprise.
Very good. Any comments or questions? We will move on to ordinance number 262697 to amend the short-term rental ordinance of Hoover, Alabama.
Okay, this particular ordinance amendment, what staff is proposing is that the week-long carve-out that is in the current ordinance for short-term rentals to operate in single-family residential districts is removed from the ordinance. The ordinance actually allows for anyone who owns a single-family residence in one of our single-family districts to rent out their house for 1 week a year for special events. The manner in which the ordinance was crafted has the applicant going through essentially the same application process as a full-time short-term rental, where they are submitting the application packet, the floor plan with the exit strategy for our fire services, fire marshal to review, the business license component. And what we have found, our department, is that this is just very, very difficult to enforce. To this day, we have not had a single applicant go through that process and obtain a license to do a 1 week short-term rental in a single-family district. So our thought is to simplify the ordinance and take that condition or that particular item out, and it wouldn't be an enforcement matter. From the standpoint of us trying to go chase down a license for 1 week, it would be more of an enforcement matter if we get complaints about a short-term rental operating in neighborhoods as we do now.
Very good. Comments or questions for Mr. Martin?
Mr. President, Mac, do we have the capability to receive a complaint and respond appropriately within that time frame before they're gone and it's over with?
Very rarely do we get the complaint in time to catch them in the process. If it is operating on a weekly basis or week-by-week basis, usually by the time that we get in contact with the owner of the premises, the short-term renter is gone. Now, we do get complaints for those that are operating short-term rentals on a longer-term basis. You know, they may have turnover every week, but they're operating the house as a short-term rental on a longer-term basis. And we've actually had several that we've closed down. But chasing after the 1 week one-offs is very difficult.
So how effective is this going to be?
I don't know that this is actually going to change any behavior, but at least from our standpoint, you know, we aren't opening the door for one of these to legally operate in a week. and we're not having to chase it down for licensing.
Do we have the opportunity to invite the owners of those properties to go visit with Judge Bishop?
That's
Or they
a
just
new one.
receive a fine?
Pardon?
They just receive a fine, or can they go be invited to visit with Judge Bishop?
Typically, if, once our code enforcement officials respond and the short-term rental is no longer in operation, the short-term rentals are gone, and we don't see evidence of there being any advertisement, we close the case.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, what's the definition of a special event? Is there any, it's just like, hey, I've got
There's,
a special event?
there is no definition. Actually, my understanding is when this ordinance was crafted, that was an 11th hour addition that didn't come from our department. I think one of the members of staff, no longer here, but they were here at the time, had just been to the Masters and thought, well, this is a great idea. We should allow this when the SEC tournament rolls around. And it was inserted into the ordinance very late in the drafting process.
Interesting. Good to know.
Thank you. I would invite y'all to follow the Orange Beach Police Department during spring break for short-term rentals. They're killing it on social media. The elephant in the room, house parties showing up, and I mean, they didn't even get checked in good before they're gone. So they really cracked down on the family-friendly atmosphere of spring break and targeting short-term rentals that were being used improperly. So
Yeah, our point is with this, right now, we have enough room for someone to get the toe in the door for a week, and it's just difficult for us to enforce that. So our preference would be for that not to be in the ordinance.
very good. Any other comments? Very good. We will move on to ordinance 262699 to provide for the levying of municipal taxes for the city of Hoover and for the assessment and collection of such taxes. Dr. Lopez, this is basic housekeeping, correct?
Yes, I think you stated it perfectly. So yes, it's just an annual levy of a property tax.
Comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to setting a public hearing for Resolution 881426, granting conditional use approval to allow to install a two-car metal canopy with trench drain and sand oil interceptor to hand wash cars behind space 140 for the property located at 140 Inverness Corners.
Hello again. This conditional use is for Enterprise Rental Car. They are relocating at the Inverness Corners Shopping Center, which in and of itself, relocating the office would not have triggered the conditional use, but they are taking with them and relocating the private car wash component to that. And that does come with some impacts that the conditional use helps us mitigate or at least plan for, such as, where is their waste going? Are they tying into the sewer system? And making sure we have all of our ducks in a row to handle those impacts. The Planning Commission heard this case at their meeting, and it comes to you with a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission with conditions. There are some technical aspects of the plan that they need to address, and some other things that we can get addressed at permitting. But otherwise, the impacts seem like they're taken care of and will have minimal impact on the neighbors.
Very good. Comments or questions for Mr. Martin on this item?
Is the car wash going to be in the front or the back?
The
Or on the
back.
side?
It's going to be behind the building.
Okay.
So it will be out of sight for the public.
Very good. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Before we adjourn, Mr. Waldrop, could you give us an update on the process of updating our employee appeal process?
I've heard from several council members about the desire to update what we're doing as far as employment and appeals go, and also our employee handbook. So what I'd like to do is have either an ad hoc meeting of those who want to participate, or chair can appoint a committee, or you can have a committee as a whole however you want to do that, to meet with us and sit down and maybe have some timelines about what you're looking for, what your ideas are. And we go from there. Now, we can do that in executive session because we're going to be talking about legal issues and legal matters with you. That's up to you.
Very good. I believe I intend for that to be a committee of the whole moving forward. So.
Do you want to do that, if we're going to do it as a committee as a whole, do you want to do it when you're having a regularly scheduled council meeting or at a work session, and we can go ahead and notice the meeting? And then, like, if we had noticed it for today, everybody knows you're going to have a committee as a whole meeting. We're going to adjourn, we go to the council conference room, and we could begin the process of what are the things you'd like to see, and we can give you some suggestions on what we think. We've already looked at, we think we're going to need local legislation, or not local, but because we're in 2 counties, we can have a statewide bill. We've talked with the city's external affairs person there, Michael Davis, and we could have him come and be present, talk to us about that. And I think in probably that initial meeting, and then come back and discuss it with you, and then maybe a third meeting, you'd be ready to go.
Very good. Typically we
Speaking
follow along
speaking for the lawyers, we'd like to do that sooner rather than later.
Yes. It'll probably follow a work session or a
That's
council
good.
meeting. Usually works out for the best.
So,
Yeah, why don't we do this before we have the meeting? We could go ahead and provide you with some information. We could just mail it to you or email it to you. You could be looking at it and give you something to think about, help move the process along. Would that be helpful to you?
That would be helpful to
Okay.
give us some
Yes.
basis.
Could we respond to that and to the stuff that you give us?
You could respond to us, but if you start responding to each other, then you get into,
But if we respond to
you
you
can respond
only,
to
it's
us,
okay.
absolutely, yes.
So, Mr. President, the only 2 cents I have on that, since the, appeals process is about the end users, which is employees, of course, the decision voting-wise may occur here, but from an ad hoc standpoint, should it be inclusive of some form of a staff composition in the initial setup, just as a informational, you have managers that have been in managerial roles quite some time. You have employees that have been here quite some time. They probably can provide some insight on what is considered fair. I mean, I'm for creating a process that's long-lasting, but it's always good to kind of give some, at least ideas from the people who are going to impact the most. That's just my 2 cents. You can shoot it down, but I just want to kind of
No,
put it out there.
Charlie, I guess when you're researching and stuff, can you kind of see how we could work in maybe the EAC as a component to this as well?
Sure. You want us to give you a first look before we have that meeting, so you can be thinking about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Other comments or questions?
I think it'd also be helpful for us to maybe, and I've talked a good bit with Michael Davis about this, give you some thoughts on what legislation might look like. And you could do this by ordinance. So I'm going to answer a question that you're going to get. Why don't you just pass an ordinance? You need to have an appeal process, and if the appeal process is going to be to circuit court, you're in 2 counties, but in 1 county, you're in a Birmingham division and a Bessemer division. So we really need legislation so that we can say this is where the appeal would go. You can't go by, for the cases we try in municipal court, if it happened in Shelby County, it goes to Shelby County. If it happened in Birmingham Division, it goes to Birmingham Division, Bessemer Division. You can't take where an employee works and say this is where their appeal would go. You're going to have to pick out a forum for that. So we're just going to have to have not local, but we're going to have legislation to do what I think you're going to want to do.
And Charlie, Typical practice can also be where the main headquarters of the city is located out of, can be the determining factor of what that court will be. And we can do how you want to do it, but
That's strictly up to the 7 members on the council. Y'all pick and choose where you want it to go.
Before we adjourn, celebrate Hoover Day, Saturday at Veterans Park. I believe a determination on weather will be made sometime tomorrow. Still going with it. Very good. Hopefully the rain holds out. See everyone there. We're adjourned.